Okay guys, in this video I am trying to find the bottom for Bitcoin, and there's two trend lines I have. Now I'm going to recreate this chart from scratch, or at least where I found these resistance levels. I'm not sure if it's going to be this one we're going to bottom on, or if it's going to be this one we're going to bottom on. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. If you guys have been following me back in the day, I told you that it was likely we were going to have a drop. This was before COVID happened. And also using this chart, this originally was the peak of the bull run chart, I was able to nail the bottom. I told everybody to buy in at 3,800. I think this chart will help us find the bottom. Coincidentally, I happened to be watching a video Benjamin Cowen put up. And he put this video up called Bitcoin, a Case for the Bears. There was a certain thing he mentioned in this video that caught my attention that I think is helping me figure out which one of these lines we're going to bottom on, and actually it's more bearish based on what Cohen said. And I will play a clip of this and show what I'm talking about, and then I will recreate this chart. I would love to get Benjamin Cohen's opinion on this, so if you want to leave comments on his videos or try to get his attention, I'd love to hear what he has to say. So we're going to cover this. I'm going to recreate this chart and show you how I was able to find these points here and explain them to you. So another thing, guys, so this was a video I put out on February 16th called The Perfect Bitcoin Short. And I said it was likely we were going to drop from 44,000. This also had to do with the Dow Jones. I was expecting some downside. The indices moved together. So if the indices are coming down, Bitcoin's going to come down as well. This was, so I share all my trades now on Discord. I use Bitget to do leverage trading. I said, look, this is the likely point to short. My entry right here was 44,173, and I said to set your stop at 44,244. So understand, guys, so here's how it works. If you sign up to Bitget directly and you have fees or losses, 100% of that goes to Bitget. If you use my affiliate link, I do get a commission or percentage of your losses and your fees. So obviously if you use my link, affiliate link, pinned in the first comment description, you support me. But the one thing I do is I try to tell you to set a stop to protect yourself. If you notice other YouTubers that are shilling Bybit, they'll say, long this point, short this point. The one thing they don't say is set your stop loss, because it's not in their best interest. Because if you lose $5,000, $10,000, they're getting a large percentage of that. So it's in their best interest for you to lose money because they're getting paid on your losses. My whole reason for getting into leverage trading is to show you how to trade safely and protect yourself from getting wrecked. So again, if you want to support me, that's fine. If you don't, you can just sign up directly. But I am creating charts for Bitget and giving you coordinates to get these charts into Bitget so you can trade them. This here was, so this is where I set to short right here. I mentioned this in that video, the Bitcoin perfect short. I said the point you want to short was 44,168. You can see we dropped a total of 9.20%, and we've been killing it on these shorts. This is the next major support I have on this chart, on 39,250 at the time recording this video. This is the actual chart I've recreated for USDT for the Bitget exchange, and I have all the coordinates available on the website, so people can actually create this chart in Bitget. Notice we pushed up, we topped out right here at this trend line at 40,969, and I made a post in the community section of YouTube. I gave these coordinates and showed, look, if we pushed up 40,967 was the next resistance, and again I gave the coordinates so you could actually import this into Bitget. And notice what happened. We pushed up and we hit this point almost to the tick and got rejected. And you see we came up and now we're getting rejected here. There's no dispute that my charts are accurate. I try to help you know, when to short, when to long. I can't tell you which way the price is going to go. Well, actually, if you chart the Dow Jones and the indices, you can get an idea. But I give you points to short and points to long. That's what I do. And I'll be creating a bunch of altcoin charts so you can get the coordinates and bring this into Bitget if you want to use it. So again, if you want to sign up my link, it's up to you. Send the descriptions, pin the first comment, or you can go directly to Bitget and sign up if you want to use them. I like using Bitget because there's no VPN and there's no KYC. So this gets on to trying to find the bottom for Bitcoin. So the reason I expected us to have a drop from 44K was strong resistance on my chart, and I expected us to top out with the Dow Jones and have some downside. And remember, the indices moved together. You can see the Dow has dropped us a pretty good amount. This here, so this is on the weekly. You can see back here we had a COVID crash. The Dow dropped around 38. Let me move this out of the way. The Dow dropped around 38.45%. Bitcoin dropped about 68%. It's almost twice as much. So you can see right now, it looks like we're in this head and shoulders. This is our neckline right here. And you see this is our left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And this would be the neckline, right? So you pull the neckline down. We could be looking at a potential drop of around 20% for the Dow Jones. We could go lower, but a 20% drop could mean a 40% drop for Bitcoin. And if it comes down more, well, more of a drop for Bitcoin. So this is one thing to look at. Bitcoin follows the indices. If we have a lot of downside, we have some downside for Bitcoin. Again, this is for finding the bottom. We also have a lot of gaps below. We have a gap. If you believe the gaps have to be filled, maybe some believe that they do, they don't, I don't know. This gap might have been filled at 32,325, but we have a gap that has not been filled down here at 23,725, 18,140, and we have a gap all the way down here. It's not a big one, but it's still a gap nonetheless at 9,665. So, again, what I'm trying to say is possible. I think we're going to bottom on either this line or potentially this line. So let me show you what Cowen said that makes me think it's possible it could be this line right here, and I'll recreate this chart. So this is what Cowen said. Let me make sure I have my volume on this. So let me play what he said right here, and I'll show you why I think it's that first line.
Another thing to consider is the 1 year running ROI, okay? So I've said before, 64K has been a much more important top, I think, than 69K. On-chain metrics, social stats, even running ROI stats, you can see it. So back in March of 2021, we hit a peak on the 1 year ROI. But usually, the bottom on the 1 year ROI tends to correspond to a new macro bottom. But it also tends to happen 1 year after. 1 year after the significant top.
So, and this is what caught my attention. So we had a peak at around, so let's go back to the chart here. In the 14th of April, we had a peak up around 64,000, right? And then we had another peak up here around 69,000. So, and I'm explaining this, and I'm going to recreate this chart, but if you'll notice, and when I create the chart, it'll make sense how I found this. So this was back in 2013, right? So this was our resistance, right? Flipped as support. We bottomed right here, right? And then if you go over here to, this was 2017, this ended up being resistance, right? Flipped as support, and we bottomed right here, right on the 200 weekly moving average. Also happened to be our support. This was when we had a COVID crash right here. So notice what happened. This was resistance, right? This ended up being support. We bottomed on that same support right here at the 300 weekly moving average. Using these fib channels in the same direction allows us to give us our resistance and our support. So over here, this is what I've been trying to figure out. So you can see that this ended up being resistance, right? So if we were to bottom on this trend line, right, on this trend line being support, you know, this could take us all the way down to potentially 11,382. It depends when you make contact. This right here is a 400 weekly. We've never tested the 400 weekly. Doesn't mean we have to, but you can see every time that we test resistance, right, we always come back and bottom on it as support. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is it this one that potentially would be our support, or you know, this was also resistance? So we could come down and test this as support, and this could be our bottom. So this is the 200 weekly moving average right here. Looks like it's probably gonna do something like this. So if that's the case, if this was our resistance, and then we come down, we could bottom right here. This would be around 19,000, right? Which brings us damn close to this red line right here. This is a gap at around 18,140. But we also have this gap down here at 9,665. So, and again, what Cowen said was there's more significance to this peak here, which means if that's the case, if right here is our gap at 9,632, and as I mentioned before, so if we do, let's do a horizontal line right here. So this is where we bottomed. This is where we came down to around 28,000 on the 22nd of June. So if we break, let me give you a price label here. And guys, I'm going to recreate the chart. I'm trying to make you understand what's going on here. So if we break 29,105, I believe that's the point that we will capitulate. So if the markets continue down, once we break this point, this is where I expect us to capitulate. We're already at a critical support right now. So if we come down and we break this, I think that's when the capitulation begins. So the point is, if we come down and bottom here, all right, this would be close to the 200 weekly moving average. It would also fill a gap. But if we're going to test this support level, right, that means we have a hell of a drop ahead of us. So that means we could come down and potentially test down here around 9,600 to fill this gap, which is below the 400 weekly. So let me recreate this chart and show you how I found this. So I'm just going to start from scratch here. So again, this is the yellow moving average. Here is the 200 weekly, the orange one is the 300 weekly, and I extended this out, but the red one is the 400 weekly. So it's pretty simple. If you have a TradingView account, you can do this from scratch. Just go to the second tool down. It's called a FIB channel. So let me grab a FIB channel here. So basically how I do this is you start at the peak, right? This is in 2013. And you come down to where we bottom. See that line is right where we bottomed? And you pull this out. I'm going to bring this gray line right to the peak in 2017, right? So you can see that that's how I got this support and resistance, right? Ended up being resistance, right? Flipped as support, and we bottomed right here. So let's move on. So I'm going to do another FIB channel here. I'm going to create one. Same point right here at the peak, bring it down so it matches completely. I'm going to bring this out and I'm going to match it up. So I'm going to bring this to, so you notice how when I create these FIB channels, I match it up. So this gray line I'm matching with this red line, and when I do that, you see this red line matches this green line, this purple line matches this line. So to get this accurate, these lines have to match. So I'm going to bring this out, get it to match as close as possible. So you can see, and when you do this, this is how you get more key support and resistance levels to pay attention to if you're swing trading. But this gives us that point, right? It also gave us this point right here where we got rejected. So I'm going to create another FIB channel, and we're going to, hold on guys. So I'm going to create one right here. Same way I did the other one. I'm going to go from our peak right here. I'm just following this FIB channel line. I'm going to bring it out. And I'm going to bring it up to this point right here, to where it matches. Notice that I'm bringing it right to this point, right where we found resistance right here. And I'm going to do another FIB channel line. I'm going to come from this point to this point and bring this up. And notice what happens. Notice that this gray line matches this blue line. I could take my time and get it more accurate, but notice right here, this red line is going to match this red line. So as long as you get the FIB channels to match, and this is basically how I create all of my FIB channel charts. So you can see right here, this right here was our resistance, right? This was our resistance, and this is what I'm saying. This could be the line we bottom on, or it could potentially, this was our next resistance. Notice we hit this almost to the tick. Now the horizontal lines, if you want access to that, you'll have to access my charts. But this is the next point that we got rejected right here, right? So because of what Cowen said, I think it's possible, and this would be the most bearish case, that, and again, like I said, every single time, and again, you saw how I set up these FIB channels, every single time, even right here, this very first one, look, previous resistance, right, flips as support, bottom, right, and then we come over here, same thing, resistance, flips as support, and we bottom, 200 weekly, and over here, this is what I'm trying to figure out. Is it going to be this line or this line? So if this is the case, and what Cowen said, there's more significance to this peak right here. So if this was our resistance and we're going to bottom, right, on this line, that could bring us all the way down to potentially around 12,000, possibly lower. This would fill the gap down here. This is around 9,350. I'm just saying, it just, every time we bottom, it's on the same point we hit as resistance. If it's this line, right, that becomes our support, then, potentially, we'll bottom down here where the 200 weekly moving average is. But I do believe when we bottom, it will be either on this line or this line, and potentially it will be on the 200 weekly, possibly the 300 weekly or the 400 weekly. So again, if every time resistance ends up being support for our bottom, I think one of these two lines will be the bottom. So again, Benjamin Cowen, if you watch this, I'd love your opinion, what you think on this. And remember, guys, if the indices are coming down, Bitcoin is going to come down as well. But guys, if you do want to access these charts, the website's authorcrypto.com. Link will be pinned in the first comment in the description. And also, if you want to use my affiliate link for BitGet, that would be pinned in the first comment as well. Guys, that's it. Trade safe, trade smart. I'm out.